what's going on, guys? Welcome to Daz Talks Footy, and hasn't this been a carnage week of SuperCoach? I actually originally had a plan to put a SuperCoach video out quite early in the week, and I'm glad that I ran out of time because that was around before Grundy and Sherry got injured and all these things. So that video would have aged horrifically, so I'm kind of glad I'm here now on a work break at the moment while I'm doing assessments, which is fun. So, look, the title of the video is so true, but there are a lot of people in the shit right now, and that, I don't want to say it makes me happy, but if your team hasn't taken off in the early part of the year that you would hope it would, we're kind of all at a level playing field in terms of needing to make good decisions. Now, yes, I'm still playing catch-up. I still need to do that, and I'm hopefully going to be doing that as the week goes on. But other people are going to be making a lot of decisions as well. So what we need to do is, again, continually make good decisions. Now, I don't have Sherry. The really unfortunate part of my weekend was I had to trade out Roses, and I know Baldwin sucked and didn't get us a lot of points, but there were some other rookies that we could have gone to that would have been better than Kai Lohman because he's hurt his ankle and he's going to be missing as well. So it's like, oh, what the hell. But we did drop in the rankings. We're at about 22-3. Yeah, 22-9. I meant, sorry. So 24-22 we went down with 21-52. Again, a shit show. Shout out to Hank there. Yes, chef. We worked together in a couple of different places. One in Narry and one in Bruthen up in Gippsland, Victoria. So that was fantastic. A lot of fun. But he got a good win. Another good win in the Daz Talks Footy Draft, flying in that league, I think. What am I, 4-2? Yeah, 4-2, flying. So going well there. Might just become a professional draft player, third in both those leagues. That could be a thing that I do. You know, follow me for more draft stuff. The draft videos with Smithy actually went really well. But let's get into the team. And I'm going to show you, first of all, I'll go over some things that I think will affect you guys more than me. And then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. And then I think you're going to think it's bonkers. And then I'll show you what I think is maybe a safer way to go if that's what you want to do. Didn't I time that to perfection when it came to the internet? So the trades, look, we're this early in the year. I can't worry about the number. We've just got to fix what we need to fix. So Jack Steele is the VC, 140, makes me feel pretty good. Only Dunkley scored a more, which is absolutely fine. O'Driscoll on the bench, he scored less than DeConning, but coming into this week, you just take what you can get from those two. Stewart, when you play North, you shouldn't expect a whole lot of the ball if you're a defender, so I feel bad for... I don't know who North have got this week off the top of my head. Oh boy. But whoever those defenders are, feel for them. Crisp did his job. Hewitt was fantastic bringing him in this week. Jaden Short, fantastic. Nick Dacos had a really slow quarter and a half, and you thought, oh, is the pressure getting to him? But no, he did fantastically. He did fine for his price point. It's going to be a while until we need to upgrade him. I just wonder if that upgrade is going to be a defender or a midfielder. Because O'Driscoll will definitely be a defender, I think. Whenever that time comes, it's not going to be this week. So if Dacos is the upgrade as well, and we might cash in someone in the midfield and finish the defence. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of finishing lines so early in the season because anything can happen. I know the advantage of finishing lines is if you get an injury, you can afford most people around that price point as well. However, I think the more data that you can get, the better, and keep an eye on a few defenders because you look at guys like Sicily, you're looking at guys like Jordan Dawson, you're looking at Pendlebury, Witherden. These are guys more that I've missed as well, but trying to figure out who to go for. Jack Sinclair was the other one that was the obvious one that I missed there. So getting more data on those guys, checking their price points and stuff like that is uber important, but I'm not changing my defense this week, I don't think at all. McRae, I knew he wasn't going to be that good at Ballarat. Oh, excuse me. Oh boy, it's been a long day for Dudsley. The reason why Dunkley scored a lot, McRae didn't. McRae, not a big tackler. Although I think his tackle numbers this year have been pretty solid. He's not a fantastic tackler when it comes to that, which is okay. He's a pinpoint user, and that's fucking impossible in Ballarat. Matt Crouch also played in that Ballarat game, as did Josh Rochelle, and those scores were just blech, poo. The problem that we've got is Rochelle's break-even's 85, as well as Jason Horne-Francis, who's 65, was enough to make him a bit of coin, but not enough to sort of justify keeping him. So they're going to be the two to look at. Took Mitchell ahead of Mills. Screen's not frozen, I'm just dead inside. So, oh boy. The Hawks have got the Ds, and what's promising about that is Melbourne and Hawthorn are two of the top three, with the Bulldogs being the other one, actually, that give away the most points to midfielders. So, I think Mitchell will justify it, and with Mills and Neal, that's going to be an interesting matchup in the Sydney v Brisbane game. If you got Mills in, or you had Mills like Smithy did as of last week, you're not complaining about that in the slightest. But although it killed the ranking and the points this week, it would have ended up on about 2260, which I think would have got me up the rankings. It sucks for this week, but we don't know if it sucks for the year. Nick Martin just continually does good things. Gawn, tick. Grundy was a tick until we found out the cause of that PCL injury, which was a real shame. I'm giving Isaac Heaney a tick for two reasons. One, he went behind the ball and stat padded, which we love, and the reason why that is a tick is they could have thrown anyone behind the ball. Longmire knew that he hadn't really got into the game that much, so he threw him behind the ball and he got himself up to 81. That's a tick, because the way that Blake Hardwick played Heaney inside the forward 50, not a lot of small defenders are going to do that. I do worry about the fact that Heaney didn't play a lot of midfield time in this game, but considering how well Mills and Parker were playing, disrupting that whilst the centre bounces were so comprehensively going Sydney's way in the second half might have been a disruption. So I'm not as angry at that 81 as I think a lot of Heaney owners are. Will Brodie's doing his thing. Canelio did his thing. My heart breaks for Jack Hayes, just in ways that's difficult to describe. It really is. But St Kilda are going to extend him, which is fantastic. Oh boy, stop yawning, Daz. I hope I'm not boring you as much as me yawning might pertain to, but I've been up for fucking ages, so I apologise. Connor McDonald, as a Hawks fan, I'm really pleased with him. As a SuperCoach player, I can understand why you're not, but I'm not flicking him yet. He's still getting games, and he is expected to play this week, so no reason not to. And like I said, Lohman with the ankle is not good. So let's talk about some of the obviouses. I think moving on, Jason Horne-Francis is the go, because we've got either Grundy to Bruce and Horne-Francis up to someone. They're going to be the popular trades, or if you're going Hayes to Hayes to Hayes, and you might stick Grundy on your bench for a week and then upgrade Horne-Francis to maybe a Luke Parker and swing him forward or keep him in the midfield, whatever you want to do. They're pretty popular. Grundy to Bruce, Horne-Francis to Parker is something that I've definitely considered. And then leaving Hayes on the bench for a week, and then you might downgrade Dixon to a Curtis, maybe a Paul Curtis or whatever, and you might upgrade Hayes then to... Who could you get with that kind of money at about 400k? DeGoey, maybe, if that's the way you want to go. Parker's already taken it, as we know. Jade Gresham might be worth considering, because I think Tom Liberatore might be out of reach. Or if you want a pod, maybe a Hawkins, because his goal assists can keep him engaged, although the Hawk has had a bit of a quiet one. So if you're going the two trades, that might be a really good way to go, really positive way that you can go. It only uses two trades, and you'd have to use two trades again next week, so I would not knock you for that. But I don't think you can trade Grundy and Hayes this round. There are definitely, if you're happy with your midfield mix, but considering Rochelle and Horne-Francis have both got BEs of 85, I've got a couple of different ways that I can do this. I can downgrade Hayes to Hayes, and have Hayes as my R2, my Grundy as my R3, and put Dixon on the bench and win Hager in the forward line, and then upgrade Horne-Francis to a Parker and have him forward. I already said that. But we can do Grundy to Hayes, and then we could upgrade Rochelle and Horne-Francis. That's definitely an option. We could also downgrade Grundy to Hayes, downgrade Rochelle, and upgrade Horne-Francis, and then upgrade Jack Hayes next week. They are also options. So let me show you what I mean by, let's go the money-making one. which is, where's my mouse gone? So we could go Grundy. So Grundy, we'd keep Hayes for this week, but Horne-Francis would have to drop out, and Rochelle would have to drop out. And the mid to select in, now you've kind of got a cool choice here, but I'm going to go with Greg Clark because, number one, he is going to make his debut. That's confirmed, which is fantastic. Number two, he's 25 years old. He's a mid-season pick, which means that they haven't drafted him for him to play waffle. They need him in the team now. I think for a debutant, his job security is as good as it's ever been or will be. He was going to play round one until he got injured. If it was round one and he was fit, you'd be picking him. So if you need to downgrade somewhere, I highly, highly, highly recommend doing that. Now, what we can do from here, if you want some money, because we've got the 1,077,000 there, which is awesome. Now, what we can do, effectively in this situation, is we could have Patrick Cripps here for about 520, I reckon. And then we could have... Could we afford Wits? Let's have a look. I might absolutely just change my plan here. But if we go Cripps... could we afford 556? I reckon we could. I reckon we could afford Wits here. This might be the go. Sideways. Oh, what's happened here? Oh, the internet. Oh, it's just fucked me. Ah! Let's do this one at a time. Why did it do that? That's really annoying. Okay, so let's go Rochelle to Clark. I think Clark is going to be a must-have. It's just, do you want him this week or do you want him next week? I think it's as simple as that. Oh, come on, internet. Jesus. Where are we at? We would then go Grundy to Wits. Because, but what we're doing here is these trades for this week have also got to lead into next week as well. They really do. Because Wits doesn't have the same buy as Gawn, which is a huge tick. A massive tick there. But if we go complete trade, which we absolutely should. So we've got Horne-Francis here. Now, here's the problem. Because Horne-Francis to Cripps can happen. Can absolutely happen. We also need Sam Hayes. So, the question we ask ourselves is this. Do we put Sam Hayes here? Hold for a week with Horne-Francis? And then upgrade him? Well, his break-even's 85. He's going to lose a bit of money. But we are going to be able to get him to a Wines. We are going to be able to get him to a Josh Kelly. Maybe a Cripps, depending on how well he goes. But that is a risk. So we could do that. Or, what we could do, of course, is go Horne-Francis now to a Cripps. And then we would still have to downgrade Hayes or Dixon next week and hope that either Murkov or Aiden Begg get a gig for Carlton and Collingwood. Now, that's not a great option because we're still going to need cash generation across the field. I know we're not getting that with Rochelle, and you might also be thinking to yourself, Daz, if you traded Clark back in for Rochelle right now, you could do Hayes and ignore Wits. I understand that. The question you need to ask yourself is, do you want to replace Grundy this week or next week? If you want to replace Grundy this week, in my situation, and I think in a lot of yours, if you want to replace Grundy this week, you can't make an upgrade elsewhere this week, but you can next week. If you upgrade Rochelle and Horne-Francis in this situation, then you are going to be able to get Wits the week after if you downgrade Dixon and upgrade Hayes. So we're effectively using 5 trades no matter what. It's just, when do you want to replace Grundy? Now, for me, having looked at this, I personally want to replace Grundy when I can, But for the betterment of my side, I actually think I'm better off replacing Grundy, as in the R2 spot, the week after. So I actually think that Grundy here goes to Sam Hayes, and we just play Sam Hayes for a week. I know he's up against St Kilda. I know he's up against St Kilda. We don't know how fit Rowan Marshall is at the time of recording. You guys might know better than me. And then what I do from here, because we've got 457k, so your eyes might light up and go, oh, we can get Rochelle to a Parker. That's 180k. We can then get Horn Francis up to a Cripps or someone like that. And you go, oh, double upgrade, you beauty. Like, let's do this. We're still +1 in the keeper stakes. Awesome. R2 is still going to be a problem in that scenario, because you would need to, if we did Rochelle to Parker, 180k leaves us 270. Horn Francis to, let's just say Cripps is 200, so we can keep the math reasonably easy to do, is we're going to have 200k. Roundabout. 100k. 200k. I'm now confusing myself. Rochelle, 290, so up to 180 is 270 plus 200. So we're going to have 70k left. Okay, I'm with you now. So we're going to have 70k. We downgrade Dixon to Curtis, let's just say. That gives us 100k, so that's 170. Hayes' price isn't going to move. That's 420k. We can't even afford Peter Laddams on that. Got to be thinking long term. So I think the move, if we don't think Rochelle is going to score 85 against the Giants, and I tend to think that we don't, then we would have to move him on. Or, if you think he's going to flop or you don't want to risk it, we trade him down to Greg Clark. What else we could do is we could just get Horn Francis up to... Cripps is the popular, he's the price. I love Andy Brayshaw, and I think he finishes top 6 mid for the year. Even with Fife back, he's not going to take a step backwards, I don't think. So, Cripps is an option, of course, but let's plug in Brayshaw for now. So we look at it. Now, effectively, I could leave it absolutely like this. Have Hayes for McDonald. And I don't think... Oh, yep, that worked. Cool. And I don't think McDonald is going to score that well against Melbourne's halfbacks, whereas Port Adelaide's halfbacks aren't defending anyone, and their wing... I mean, Dan Houston might be able to stop Winhager, but Winhager v McDonald, I'll take McDonald every time. So we're now here. 183k left. That is awesome. Now, next week, we would do 2 trades again, and that would effectively be Hayes down to Curtis, which would give us 140k, so we would have 320 on the board. We could then upgrade Rochelle to whoever the hell we want. And whoever the hell we want could be Liberatore and put him in the forward line. It could absolutely be Ollie Wines and leave him in the midfield, because Ollie's break-even's 157, which means he's going to be priced at around 500k. And that's almost too much to resist. What else we could do... actually, no, we couldn't, because Wines' price is still going to go down, so ignore that. So we could absolutely leave it like this. And then Hayes down to Curtis gives us, like I said, 140k, so we'd have 320 in the bank. Rochelle would become, let's say, Liberatore, which would only cost us 240 roundabout, but let's say 260. So 260, that would still give us 60k left, but we'd still need to solve for here. So the other option is... Next week, Rochelle becomes Greg Clark if he goes well and he gets through the game, which might be a good wait and see. And then we upgrade Hayes. We put Hayes at R3 and upgrade him to Witts or O'Brien or Laddams. I think that's the best option. I really do. I think Rochelle to Greg Clark this week, because he's not on the bubble, isn't the way to go. Josh Ward is expected to miss this week as well, so if you want to cash him in, absolutely go for it. He's sitting on the bench. He's kind of not really a worry for me right now, but I like the idea of Rochelle to Clark next week, and then Hayes can go to Witts to get him in at R2, which means next week, when we talk, I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 keepers in the defense. With Dacos as a definite plug-in, so I'm going to call him 4.5 because I'm going to keep him till the buys. Okay, 5.5, 6.5, 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, 10.5. It doesn't make me feel great, but if he's my M8, I need to live with it. So 10.5, 11, because I'm not trading Martin until the buy unless something happens. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Next week with Wits, 18. 18 players I'm definitely keeping to the buy, which means in a couple of weeks' time, Ward can be anyone on the bubble because I've got the manipulation for def mid or mid forward. Sam DeConning will have to be cashed in at some point. Maybe O'Driscoll might need to be cashed in. And we can do things like that. Ward missing this week and potentially having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players not play this week. Only having 24 play this week isn't fantastic. It's not great. But plans on plans, I don't need my 30 playing this week. I can escape with 24 playing this week as long as moves keep being made down the line. And if something happens with Rochelle and we're not that happy with it, we can go him to Clark anyway. That is my train of thought. Let's go to the VC and the C conversation. I'll start with some guys that aren't in my team that we could potentially talk about. The first one that sticks out is Clayton Oliver and Christian Petrarca. They both stand out. If you've got one and not the other, VC them. Hawthorn give up so many points to midfielders, it's not funny. Melbourne actually do the same. They don't give a damn about SuperCoach, which is good for us if you want Tom Mitchell as a VC, but Sam Mitchell did take him out of a few contests. So Oliver, Petrarca, they're definitely ones to go with. I'd stay away from guys like the Bont. I don't think we're really in a position to VC defenders. Dunkley, the Dogs have got the Bombers, so you could definitely throw the C on Dunkley if you think everyone else is going McRae. I'm going to take Brayshaw actually as my VC. I'm going to trust the man that I'm bringing in. I'm going to stay away from Neil because I think he gets Mills. And at this point in time, I'm actually going to throw the C on Max. No Luke Jackson because of COVID. Hawthorn gave up 165 to Peter Laddams last week. So Max might be able to do some scary things. A nice projected there, although I don't really care about that much. O'Driscoll v SDK is going to be an interesting one. With no Matt Taberner, you'd think SDK would be a good job. And actually, I might do that because SDK is a good mark. No Taberner, which means he won't have a scary opponent. A lot of injuries there, which doesn't fill me with joy, but I'm confident in the decisions made that we can get a really, really good score. And then next week, I can get Wits in and we can go from there. I also like the idea of not using the third trade this week. Just any time we can hold a trade is something I am so interested in. And I think we've just got to hope that Rochelle doesn't lose too much money, but either way, I can get him down to Greg Clark or someone like that, and then upgrade Hayes, and we can go from there. Shout out to Jack Hayes with the ACL. Shout out to you guys if you made it through. These SuperCoach videos, they're not the most polished things I put out. I like having a ramble, a chat about SuperCoach. It's not going fantastically for me so far this year, but we're not here to give up. There are a lot of SuperCoach YouTubers out there with a better rank, but as far as the information goes, I feel like good things are happening here, and there are also non-SuperCoach stuff on the channel, so subscribe if you haven't already. I got to go because work break kind of over, and I've got a few more assessments to do before my day is done. So take it easy, guys. Tips video coming soon. Goodbye.